It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, December 13th. Woo! I get excited when I hear AC/DC this early in the morning. I got a gig in L.A. next month. I'm going to play a bunch of AC/DC songs with a bunch of cool people. A couple of comedians, Bill Burr. That's in all caps. Bill Burr and Dean Del Rey, and then a bunch of guys from a bunch of rock bands. We get together every now and again for a night of comedy and just AC/DC songs. It doesn't make any sense, but it's a lot of fun.
Damn, that's awesome.
And I was just hearing Highway to Hell, and I was like, oh, man, I get to play this next month. And then I just looked at the text of the set list, and they're going to give that one to Josh Freese, who's now the drummer in the Foo Fighters.
What?
He's going to crash the party for one song, and he gets Highway to Hell.
Damn. I mean, is this open to the public, or you guys just do this for yourselves?
Oh, no. Tickets are on sale, baby. It's right there in Hollywood with a capital Holly. In early January. It's going to be a great thing, but I mean, I don't know. I was all excited to play Highway to Hell, and then I just checked the set list, and I was like, oh, crap, I'm not playing Highway to Hell. And my first thought was I'm canceling the gig, because that's just how over-caffeinated I am right now. Quick thought before we get into the rest of the show today, and this is something that we've discussed here in the building. We're located over, where are we, on Elm Street? We're right by the campus, the U, Candace's alma mater. And here's something we've all learned a lot, and I've learned it again just this morning. Two things. College students have no idea how crosswalks work at any time of day. And here's the fun part. They all wear winter clothes that are all black.
Did you almost hit someone this morning?
I truly, while paying full attention, didn't have my brights on, but just with normal headlights going down the road as I do. And I was like, what is that? And I flashed the brights, and there's just a kid pulping along the road. I'm in all black. It's 5 a.m. And man, I had no problem just laying on the horn for like 9 seconds.
He's looking at his phone?
No, that was the kid yesterday, a girl yesterday. Okay. Right there at that Dinkytown McDonald's crossing on the crosswalk, looking at her phone completely against all rhyme or reason.
This was years ago. In the summer, I'm taking a right there, heading out for 35 at that. There was actually a McDonald's there, just a McDonald's there. But anyway, I'm taking a right there, and she's heading across the crosswalk. So obviously, I'm yielding for the pedestrian, as is the law. And she gets looking at her phone, whatever, and she gets into the middle of my lane there that I'm going to take a right in, and stops to reply to this text. She's typing now, and now you can't walk and type and focus at the same time. It must have been very important, I assume. So she stops, and she's standing there. 1001, 1002, 1003. I'm surly. You know this about me. I don't lay into it. I just give it the old tap, the horn, just a beep, and her phone goes flying up in the air, hits the ground. She picks it up and looks at me like I assaulted her, and then runs across the intersection. But a little fun fact here for you, Steve. In Dinkytown, I don't know if you know this or not, if you do hit a University of Minnesota student on foot or on a bike, it's not illegal. You will not be charged.
No way.
Yeah,
all I got to deal with is the moral payback and the guilt. No problem.
I put stickers, like the old fighter pilots used to do on the side of my truck.
Or
like 7 now.
Yeah, it'll be like a
ace.
Like a Michigan Wolverine football helmet with all those stickers on it.
The Buckeyes, too.
The Buckeyes do it too.
Right, yeah.
Oh man, you shouldn't have told me that. My head's going to be full of Gopher stickers.
That McDonald's is back, by the way, Zep.
Yeah, I see that they tucked it in that fancy new big deal.
By the way,
it looks like it's open.
And if I'm not mistaken, only all kiosk ordering. No one takes your order.
Oh, really?
It's like a million little ATM pads. You go up there and bam, 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 and then you just get it out. And then and apparently. No, never mind. I was going to say something.
I'm not getting out of my car, though. There isn't a drive-thru, is there?
No, there's not.
Yeah, that's not happening.
They'll whip it at you across the robot will bring it out. The little drone will bring it out. I saw somewhere in California, I forget where, they've introduced the first McDonald's, no employees, human employees.
No, not
completely 100% automated. They might have a manager in there, I guess, but
man,
that's your $15 an hour, I guess.
You complain to a robot, and he literally cuts you in half with a laser.
Yeah.
One complaint per franchise is the average.
Over one extra sauce packet.
Exactly. Leave the blood on the floor. It's a reminder and a warning.
I used to go into that McDonald's. That was when it was just a McDonald's there on the corner of 15th. And There's an old guy that used to just come in. I'd be sitting there eating. He came in every day at about the same time because, or not every day, but whenever I was there, I assume it was every day, he'd come in and he would clean out all the salt and pepper packets, all the ketchup packets. No one tried to stop him. He just put them all right there in his big pocket, his trench coat, and out he'd go.
I was, as I mentioned the other day on the show, I was back in my hometown, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, over the weekend, and I was always reminded, as I am, every single liquor store has a drive-through window.
Yeah,
the liquor stores in my hometown.
Nice.
You drive right up and get just get whatever you want. They just hand it right to you in a motor vehicle that's still running.
I like that.
And it's been that way forever. It was that way in 1975 when we moved there. My parents were like, "What the hell?" They had drive-through windows like before the fast food restaurants had drive-through windows.
Now, can your passenger drink on the way home?
I'm not. No, I don't think you certainly could back in the day. You could. Oh, really? In Montana, it's legal. Open
the passenger,
container?
Open container. The passenger can be drinking, but not the driver. And they have the drive-through liquor stores too.
But the one of the reasons that used to exist in Kentucky, and when we moved there in 1975, there's 120 counties in the state. 99 of them were dry. 99 counties in 1975, you could not buy any alcohol ever, including in restaurants. Fully dry counties.
Wow.
Seriously.
Well,
and so the counties that were wet, which were conveniently located usually in the middle of a cluster of dry counties, so like every county is one at the most 2 counties away from a liquor store. And these are small counties. If there's 120 of them, it's usually within 30 miles of a liquor store at worst. But it was because people were just driving across the county line, loading up and driving it back.
Wow.
So it was like, let's just make it easier on everybody instead of just legalizing alcohol sales in every county. and it was still that way well into the 90s. I think way more than not counties are wet in Kentucky now. But I grew up in... it's called Christian County, Kentucky, named after John Christian. And I lived in Hopkinsville, which is one county away from Hopkins County. They couldn't put Hopkinsville in Hopkins County somehow.
It's like Houses of the Holy, isn't on the album Houses of the Holy?
Exactly where I was going. It's like we gave this guy a town, and then we gave him that county over there, which is just the weirdest thing. But the county where Hopkinsville is my home county, on every road that enters the county, at the county line, there are 4 liquor stores, 2 on each side of the street, like on the county line. So everybody from Todd and Trigg and Hopkins County, you just cross over. You are 30 yards away from 4 liquor stores.
Right.
What if they're really competitive?
I think they're. I'm sure they're all owned by the same guy. Yeah. They just some people prefer Happy's Liquor, and some people probably want to go to Big John's Liquor, and some people would probably really think that Grandpa Jimmy's would be a better place to get your hooch. It's probably the same guy who owns all 4.
Like in the summer, Steve, anytime you hop the border over there in Wisconsin, the first thing you'll see, fireworks stands on both sides of the road.
Now, that's Tennessee. Now, Tennessee is where you went for fireworks.
Okay.
And, that was conveniently located right down the road as well. So, yeah. And now... There's also there are I just noticed this too, and boy, I did not even know this was going to be a part of something I'd ever remember. There's a store when you enter Kentucky from the state line in Tennessee in a town called Guthrie, Kentucky, and it's a full freestanding store that's liquor and lottery tickets. That's all it is. And they have lottery. I walked in there that you can still smoke. I was just driving by. The interstate was closed for construction. I'm on the surface street. I see this. I'm like, liquor and lottery. What? And I'm like, I got to take a look. I walk in. I'm just in a cloud of smoke. This is last year. I'm in a cloud of smoke, and there are more lottery tickets than you've ever seen at one gas station in your life. There's a whole wall of them. Powerball, Mega Millions, all the standard things, and then just so many types of weird bathtub hooch. Just lottery and liquor and cigarettes.
They got the mason jars right there.
Hell yeah, they do. And it's times like that when I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
There was a place in North Minneapolis you drive by, and the big sign outside, it said wings, tips, and wigs. Oh, weird. Yeah, that's the trio.
I don't want to ask what type of tip we're talking about. I just like to assume I know.
All right. Big breaking entertainment news. We got to get along to Mike Evans here. Did Taylor Swift get run over by a reindeer? Mike Evans Hollywood Report coming at 6:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
You know what time it is. Time to go out west. Time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report. Good morning, Michael.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Steve. And this report brought to you by Marcus Theaters. Holidays are coming. Great time to take the family, go see a movie. And the only place to do it is at Marcus Theaters.
Nice.
Well, for the first time, Jennifer Aniston is speaking out on Matthew Perry's death. Yesterday, Jennifer said that she talked to Matthew the day before he died, that he was in great spirits. She said that they also texted the day that he did die, and that he said he felt good. He was happy. You know, I watched an Old Friends episode last night. Boy, it's hard to believe that he's gone.
By all accounts, just the funniest member of the show. Great guy. I have I have a first cousin who actually knew Matthew Perry pretty well and loved him from the day he met him. Ups and downs, never lost his great heart.
Wow. Odds and ends. You know, a lot of celebrities like to sneak out without being noticed and kind of live a normal life for a few hours at a time. And no celebrity does it better than Leonardo DiCaprio. He loves putting on disguises and will spend a lot of time out and about. A couple times a week he'll do it. Completely unnoticed, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Any idea what his disguise is? Is there a monocle or a top hat or anything cool like that?
I don't know what he does exactly. So it's Taylor Swift's birthday today. However, I'd like you to bear with me today because it's different. Taylor Swift's birthday today, however, being your Los Angeles, Hollywood guy, I want to tell you about a much bigger birthday today.
Okay.
It's actually this week. One of the best, if not the best, sports venue in the United States, like an old friend to me, the Los Angeles Coliseum is 100 years old this week.
Wow.
You know, when I was just a kid, I barely remember this. My dad was we were based in Hawaii. He was in the Navy, and my grandparents got me for a few weeks in California. And I barely remember this, but my grandmother somehow got tickets to the Dodger Chicago White Sox World Series at the L.A. Coliseum.
Wow.
That was my first memory of the Grand Ole Coliseum. When I was 17 years old, quit high school, went to work at KFWB Radio, and my first news assignment was covering a week-long Billy Graham crusade at the Coliseum. Since then, I've covered so many college football games at the Coliseum. Evel Knievel jumps, NASCAR, Rolling Stones, U2, Grateful Dead, Bruce Springsteen, Guns N' Roses, The Who, Super Bowls, championship fights, 1984 Olympic Games. I mean, really, there's nothing quite like the L.A. Coliseum.
I'm sold. I guess it's time I finally go see something there.
Oh, you've never been there?
Never been.
Wow.
Driven past it and gave a tip of the cap, paid my respects, but that was it.
And it's it's scheduled to host the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Hopefully I'm still alive and go back to see that too.
You'll be on the front row, babe.
I hope so. Well, I guess it's about that time. My wife, Cheryl, has her office Christmas party tonight.
Oh, boy.
So it's going to be a late affair.
Sure.
MP3 tomorrow, but I'll be back on Friday.
I like a man who calls his shot early. Partying hard, MP3 in the morning, wait for it. I like it.
Not even going to try.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
How are things in Minneapolis, St. Paul?
A little chilly, but that was to be expected. Otherwise, we're just a bright glow of sunshine and love and happiness here today, Mike.
I just read someplace that the best place to live is Minnesota.
Well, who's arguing that?
I'm not. Hey, I'm not. I might prefer Hawaii a little bit, but after that, Minnesota.
Yeah, well, it's they're so similar.
Yeah. The one place you don't want to live, though, is Los Crapulas Sewer by the Sea, but some of us have to bear that burden.
Goodness gracious. Okay, fair enough.
Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.
See you, Mike. Mike Evans Hollywood Report right there. A staple. He did not mention the fact that the great Andre Braugher died last night.
Right.
Actor from, I first saw him on Homicide, Life
Right.
on the Street, Brooklyn 911, and a million other things in between. I believe he was 61, had a brief illness, no details released. But man, what a tremendous. That's one of those guys. Anytime you ever saw him in anything, you were like, oh, good, this guy's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a presence. Whatever he felt, you can read it in his eyes.
Always, really, really good. The show Homicide was what's his the guy that did The Wire, Richard Simons, David Simons' first show, and it was a lot of that came from there. That's the first time I saw him on TV. But I just realized too, he's also in that great '90s movie Primal Fear. Richard Gere and Laura Linney and the kid who's like the double personality murderer. What's his name? Edward Norton. Andre Braugher is like Richard Gere's assistant in that movie, and it's like a bit part, and he's amazing in it. He's like, he's the guy that gets, he gets 4 pages of dialogue, and he's like a major character.
I thought you were going to go for the 8th best movie ever made, and the only thing I've ever seen him in, I didn't watch any of those television shows or the movie that you just mentioned, Primal Fear, but I did see him in that masterpiece, Duets, and I'm not even kidding around. He sang an a cappella version of Freebird in there. It's all about karaoke. Right. Karaoke out on the road there with Huey Lewis and, of course, Gwyneth Paltrow. Pre-ski accident, when she was still doing her great work.
She was still acting.
Still able, yeah.
You never saw Primal Fear? Oh, that's
no,
a good
but
one,
I'm going to watch it today during the show.
That's it. Yeah, no, dial it up, man. Well,
cool
I'll listen to the dialogue in the background. That'll be great. That'll be fantastic. Hey, let's take a look back. How about a history lesson?
Did you know this?
Hey, did you know this?
Okay, this is interesting.
This is interesting. What is it?
Sports and
music history.
Here's the little sports history. This is a very sad note of sports history, and I remember this and think about it every December 13th. If you ever saw the film We Are Marshall, you know about the Marshall University football team lost in a plane crash in the early 70s. Matthew McConaughey, or as my cousin calls him, Matthew McConaughey, plays the coach, that rebuilt the team after the plane crash. It was a devastating true story. Similarly, on this very night in 1977, I lived about 90 miles south of Evansville, Indiana, so I was well aware of the Evansville University Purple Aces, one of the great small college basketball teams for decades and decades. They were what Gonzaga is now. They were a little mid-major in the 50s, 60s, and 70s that was great. And on this night in 1977, their chartered plane crashed upon taking off. They were on their way to go play Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. It's going to be a 40-minute flight. On takeoff in Evansville, the plane crashed in dense fog. All 30 members of the touring party, the players, the coaches, the broadcasters, everybody was killed instantly. And there was a pall over the entire area. Southern Indiana, Western Kentucky, Southern Illinois, devastating time. And then it got somehow worse. This is all very true. One player for the team was sick, didn't make the flight. 2 weeks later, he's back in his hometown, reeling, obviously, from the shock and grief. He decides to take in his little brother's high school basketball game, and on his way to the gym is killed in a car accident.
Oh, God.
That's all. I mean, it was just like, are you kidding me? And that one was like right before Christmas. Anybody that was around at that time in that part of the country remembers it. I mean, December 13th has meant one thing to me since 1977, Evansville. On this day in 1997, Charles Woodson from the Michigan Wolverines won the Heisman Trophy, the first defensive player to do so in a really, really, really long time, since like 1949, over Peyton Manning of Tennessee. Every time I see those Nissan Heisman House commercials that are really funny, I think to myself, Peyton Manning still, he grits his teeth every time. He's like, I can't believe I'm not in those commercials. Charles Woodson with a Heisman. What kind of justice is this?
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
It is the holiday season, and, this is the time of year when emotions are swinging wide, hard, deep, and wide in a lot of directions. The general hope for all of us is that we get through the holidays in a good mood, that it all goes well, we get through happy and healthy. Healthy first, happy as a close second, I think, is what we're all hoping for. And there's one way that studies have shown a great idea if you want to maintain your mental and emotional health, your stasis, your status quo, if you want to feel good. And it's this: say no when invited to holiday parties. If you have even the slightest reservation about attending, just say nah. Because everybody feels pressured. I got to go. They invited me to their party. I have to go. No, you don't. And in fact, a new study says that politely declining invitations is fantastic for your mental health. Most of us say we've accepted not just one or two, but many, many invitations over the years to events we didn't really want to go to simply because it seems rude to say no thanks.
Yeah.
I can tell you from events that I've hosted, I don't give a crap who's not there. I mean, it's like if you invite 40 people and 30 come in, you're like, oh, thank God there's only 30. I mean, that's general hosting, one-on-one. There may be one or two people you're like, oh, man, I wish they were here. But generally speaking, everybody that's hosting a party, they got enough on their mind. They don't care if you don't go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just be
anxious for it to be over.
Yeah, and
be
if
cool
they do
about
care, and if they do care, tell them just tell them to back off.
Yeah, right. It's not probably the party you want to go to anyway. But I mean, just be cool about it and tell them, I have done that thing where I said I was coming and then I didn't show. I don't think I purposefully did that, but I think subconsciously, if I'd searched around when I was younger, I wanted to go to all the parties, but I was dating and because I didn't know any people in there, if I was going to one of her parties, then I'd start pre-gaming, start schwieling, and it always ended horribly. But now in my mature, calmer years, I'm a bit more open to going out to the parties and having a good time and remembering some of what happened and even contributing to the good time. But no one ever asks now.
It's nice.
Now that you're ready.
No, they're like, no, we tried that with you, Zep. No.
You're like that Barry Manilow song. You're ready to take that chance again.
Oh, Barry Manilow. I watched his special on
You did?
whatever night that was.
A Barry Manilow special?
Monday, yeah. That's why I was so tired. The next day, it was on at 9 o'clock.
And you were up all night. You and Barry had a moment?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Wow.
Love old Barry.
It was nice. It was Christmas time.
Bless his
nice.
heart. He is a nice guy. I lived in L.A. for a while. My neighbor 2 doors down had been his drummer for all the Glory years. And he came and introduced himself. He said, I hear you're a drummer. And I said, I am. He goes, well, I'm so-and-so. And I said, hey, so-and-so, I'm such and such. And then he said, who'd you play with? And I said, oh, these guys. And he said, well, I played with Barry Manilow. And I was like,
a whole drum kit?
And I was like, what? And I literally, this is what I said. Were you on like Copacabana? He goes, oh, yeah, all the big hits. Played on all of them. And I was like, really? And when did that end? He goes, he fired us all in 1989 without notice.
Oh, that was.
And this is in like 2002,
Snake.
and I was like, "Oh, that's rough." And he was like, "Yeah." And then the next time I saw him, he's like, "So after Barry fired me, we just went down the rabbit hole of
Easy.
anytime I saw him, it immediately turned into Barry's bad Barry."
Bad Barry.
Manilow.
I wonder if he goes all the way back to the McDonald's jingle.
And boy, that would be something. And by about the third or fourth conversation, I was like, I'm about to fire you myself. I'm going to hire you so I can fire you. Stop telling me about Barry Manilow. But the point is this, just say no. And in 2023, you can get out of anything now. All you got to say is, I'm a little overwrought. I just don't have the bandwidth right now. You can say things like that, and everyone's like, mental health's everything, Steve. Your emotional well-being's everything, Steve. When I was coming up in my day, no, you just get roasted if you told someone, I'm a little overwhelmed. I need a little time to myself. Oh, my God. Can you imagine what you would have been called back in the day if you said that? I need some me time. Oh, really? You mean like to cure the busted nose I'm about to give you for turning down my party? The 80s were a roughshod time of life, I tell you. But just say no. Just don't go to the party if you don't want to go. They're going to get over it. One thing you can do also, if you are trying to avoid the holiday blues, don't live on a street with one of those Christmas weirdos who puts up hundreds of thousands of lights every year to attract all kinds of people in their cars to tie up your neighborhood.
That's right.
We have a neighbor. They have that, and they have you can get like your own temporary radio station.
Yeah,
to play
right.
music outside.
Tune in,
Yeah.
man.
So,
Every metropolitan area, every major metropolitan area has at least one of those guys, one of those families. And there's a guy in New York, and apparently they have now taken the record. Most Christmas lights on a residential property. They are up to 720,000 lights in their yard.
Wow.
This is not on a farm. This is not spread out over acres. This is just a dude in his yard just outside of Poughkeepsie, Poughkeepsie, as I called it the first time I ever went there. Just outside of Poughkeepsie, 720,000 lights. Thousands of people drive through this neighborhood every year. Now, they use it as a fundraiser for local charities. They take donations.
Oh.
So in 5 years, they've raised over $700,000. Okay, that's the one saving grace in this thing. But their neighbors are freaking out and going public on Facebook and other things with, okay, this has got to stop. I'm sick of this. And if you buy a house on a quiet street 300 days of the year, and then for the final 2 months, you've got this, you've got a neighbor who's challenging the veracity of the electric grid on which you rely on for heat and stuff. That does plan to that would wind me up a little bit. There was one guy in Nashville, and he was just a little outside of town, but still on a cul-de-sac in a development a little away from downtown. And they did this for years. And a couple years ago, they announced it was their last year they had done. But the first time we went there with our kids, and we went a few different years. The first time we went, we were with another couple and the kids. We were all, it's like they have 2 kids, we have 2 kids. We were all going to get dinner. And they said, oh, well, you know what? Meet us here and we'll all go by the lights that we know this incredible place with 1 million lights in the yard. And we go up, and sure enough, the whole front yard, they've got every possible Christmas decoration imaginable. I mean, and the line, there's hundreds of cars in a line to get to it. And we get to it, and we get out for a second, and we're looking. And the kids are like, this is amazing. And I, of course, say something to the effect of, man, if I lived next door to this guy, I made some snarky comment just to my wife and our friends. And a woman, of course, nearby heard me say that.
Using your outdoor voice.
And she spun around and said, well, if you'd read the sign on the front when you walk in. And I'm like, oh, what did I miss? And of course, it was a family who had a child who loved Christmas lights more than anything. And they lost that child to a brain disease.
You bastard.
They did it in his honor every year. And it was a fundraiser for brain development. And I was like, yeah,
heart is 2 sizes too small.
I'm just going to sulk out of here like the douchebag I am.
Happy holidays.
What if that didn't happen and they just said, you know what, we're going to come. This is going to be fun when people complain about it. We're going to make up a story about a kid that died. Well, think about it this way. What did Santa, when he first saw Rudolph's nose, what was he? He was annoyed, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But then he learned to embrace it see how much joy that bright light, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. We did have a neighbor over in St. Paul. Down at the end of the street, there was the same lady that used to spray me with her garden hose when I'd go by in my Harley with those loud pipes. God bless her. I love her. Hope you're still rocking along with us, darling. But, she would pay everyone's electric bill for the month. She said that, I know electric usage on this grid goes up based on usage, and I'm going to turn on a bunch of lights, so if you'll all just give me your electric bill for the way. I know, I thought I'd never turn mine into her. I wasn't going to make her pay for my electric bill, but... yeah, she's a sweet lady.
I got to go back to the garden hose on the Harley thing.
Yeah.
So she would hear you coming. She was opposed to the loud pipes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the guy that had the loud pipes because they save lives. I don't know why. I just thought they're cool. But they were awfully loud, so I wouldn't drive it to work. I was kind of, trying to be conscious about my neighbors and the loud pipes and run it at a reasonable time. But she didn't like it at any time. And she'd be out there. She had one of those garden yards, just a little corner lot, but the whole damn yard was flowers. It was beautiful to look at. And she was sitting out there watering with her, her hose. And as I went driving by, I feel this splash of water on me, and I look back just to see her kind of coming back around with the garden hose.
Wow.
She would spray me when I'd go by. It kind of turned into a fun thing, and if she didn't, I'd make another lap around. It was just kind of a fun thing.
Hope you flipped her off Easy Rider style.
Yeah, exactly. Me and some guys went over there and beat the snot out of her. No, I thought it was kind of cool.
I've never sprayed anybody with the garden hose. I had for years. There was a little wicker basket on our front porch in Nashville, and it was full of tennis balls, which were in quotes for the dog. But they were really so when I would hear people coming up the street really fun, I hear an engine rev, that car or motorcycle, there would be a tennis ball flung hard right at it. Because it's a very small street. It's a 25 mile per hour posted speed limit. Nothing but children children and dogs all crossing the street.
Right.
And every now and again, you just see someone just, just
Ripping
blasting
through.
through the stop signs. And I never thought twice about just humming a tennis ball right into the door of a car. And I never had one time where I hit several cars from 5 feet
You got a
away.
good arm.
I would go grab a ball, take 3 steps, and launch. And it's a tiny little front yard. It's not like a long throw. Yeah. And cars would always stop, and they'd look at me and just keep on going, nice and slow. I never had one guy get out, and I was like, and every time I'd be like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm about to get my ass kicked. It never happened. They all
what kind of
looked at me
pose would you give, though, after they stop and look over at you?
The whole. I had the full on, please get out of your car pose.
Yeah, you didn't give him the look away. You gave him the Clint Eastwood.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. Just
You
go,
getting
man.
out? You stopping the car? You getting out? Huh? I got another tennis ball right here, buddy.
Make my day.
Go ahead.
That was it.
Punk. What better time of the year than for these 8 reasons? I don't know. I don't even have it in front of me, but there are 8 things that happy people do.
Oh,
and I'll tell you what,
sure.
let's do a little rocking out and come back with this, because now I've looked at 3. The first one, nope. Second one, nope. Third one, maybe. Let's see how you do with these 8 things. This is what happy people do. I'm always curious how happy people stay so happy. We'll get into that here at 7:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Happy December the 13th. I'm happy. I guess I'm generally in a decent state of mind these days, most of the time.
Right.
We've all had our ups and downs, not just this year, but in life. And I try to maintain at least a pretty steady demeanor. Happiness, one of those things, it can be defined as, I'm looking at this right now, a few definitions. An enduring state of mind consisting not only of feelings of joy, contentment, and other positive emotions, but also a sense that one's life is meaningful and valued.
Well,
Okay. That's nice. Happiness energizes us and is a highly sought after state of being. The components that make up happiness, according to Martin Seligman, the regular experience of pleasantness, the frequent engagement in satisfying activities, and the experience of a sense of connectedness to a greater whole.
You're starting to
That's-
sound like me, Steve.
That's whole with a W in front, by the way.
yeah. I just thought it was beer, but that's the long answer. Okay, that's cool.
Okay, the regular
What?
experience of pleasantness. I feel I have a lot of I put on a song. I feel there's pleasantness in music I love. Maybe I watch a movie. Maybe I hang out with Chauncey. That makes me feel good.
Chauncey, your cool wife just sent me a video of Chauncey, but I can't play it right now.
Oh, well, you don't want us. No,
cool.
I
Bring it
advise
up.
you
No, I'm
to
gonna do
hold
it.
off.
I'm gonna do it.
Don't
Here we
do
go.
it.
I'm
Don't
doing
do
it.
it. We're
I'm
working.
doing it. Oh, he's so freaking cute.
The frequent engagement in satisfying activities. For Candace, that means staring at a video of my dog, which is weird and kind of creepy.
Oh, but he's so cute and special.
What's he doing?
He's just getting scratchings.
For God's
God,
sake.
that's so him.
Here we go. Isn't that just like him to lay back and let you scratch him? But so no matter how you define happiness, we all have our own definition, I think. We all have our own experience of when we were happiest. There's a guy named Dan Buettner. He's a best-selling author. He's a world traveler, and he has spent years studying how people live longer, happier lives, okay? He laid out the 8 habits of the world's happiest people. Do we want to dive in? Do we want to recognize how far off base we are in our lives? Here are the 8 things he says, based on research and countless people, 8 things you can do to feel happier every day. Number 1, get at least 8 hours of sleep.
Oh, yeah.
There was a time.
A week?
When?
Camelot is long since passed me by for 8 hours of sleep a night. But the happiest people sleep 8 to 9.5 hours a night.
Wow.
Teenagers
Yeah, exactly.
who are not happy at all.
When I was a college student, even without drinking, 11 hours was never far away from me. I could lay down at midnight and wake up at 11.
I can't
Oh,
do it.
man.
I wake up absolutely automatically after 7 hours.
But as a
Really?
teenager, college kid.
Still.
Back
Oh,
then,
man.
Yeah.
When I was doing the afternoon
envy
shift here at the Q, man, I would just go to bed whenever I want, wake up at like 9:30, and then roll over and take a nap immediately. Yeah, I could sleep till noon.
Oh, I've Yeah, those were the days, huh? There was a time, and it was Camelot. How about this? Number 2, eat a plant-based breakfast.
Pass.
Stay away from too much meat and dairy in the morning. Sugary cereal isn't good either. Yeah, no
What the
kidding.
hell is left?
I spent my life going to school and just passing out by 11 a.m. when the sugar crash happened because I'd eaten 6 bowls of Fruity Pebbles before going to school that morning. My mom literally might as well have just poured sugar into a bowl and said, just here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go. Wash it down with some milk. Have a good day at school, honey. Walk to school. And then, 3 hours in, I'm just sound asleep in my chair.
Now we have Adderall for that.
That's exactly right. How about this? Number 3, socialize. The more the better. Ideally with people you actually like. That totally checks out.
Ideally, yeah.
I mean, I have no problem being alone. I like Steve time. I'm very happy when I'm surrounded by people I like as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, more socialization, but not fake socialization.
Right,
It's got to be with the people you actually like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want it to be a chore. You want it to be effortless.
How about this? Volunteer. People who volunteer tend to feel happier, more satisfied with their lives, and have fewer symptoms of depression. I'll come right out and say it. I don't volunteer nearly as often as I think about volunteering, and I've never done it and regretted it. It's always great. During the pandemic, my son and I, far too infrequently, but we would go down to the Nashville Rescue Mission and just ladle out chow for homeless people. And man, you walk out of there feeling great. It just doesn't take much. It's just the smallest thing. You're not saving their lives. You're not changing lives. But for a few minutes, you're just doing something that connects you to folks you wouldn't otherwise see, and you're validating their humanity and their worthiness. And it's a wonderful thing.
Weren't you ever tempted to go, no soup for you?
I was I ever tempted, or was I ever not tempted?
Yeah, right.
I wanted to full on exert my authority at all turns, but I recognized that wasn't the mission statement.
I get that one. I feel a lot of satisfaction when people volunteer.
Yeah. That's nice of you.
Good for
It's
you.
very nice
Just
of you.
hearing you volunteering made me feel good, happy.
Anything I can do, man. Anything
All
I
right,
can do,
thank
Zep.
you.
How about this? I bet everyone's good with this one. Number 5 on the list. To live a happier life, take naps.
I just did.
Yeah, right. That's they're called commercial breaks
10 minutes
around
ago.
here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Power naps of 30 minutes or less do leave us more focused, creative, and productive, and that's on top of the 8 to 9.5 hours you want to get every night. And by the way, another thing, I've been on this tip for years and years and years. I've never not been taking naps. And a 27-minute nap for me, 26, 27 minutes with the timer set. I sit up in a chair or on the couch. I put my head back. I'm out. And, man, do I feel good when I wake up. If I don't set the alarm and I go to a full hour, then the rest of my day is hell.
You're groggy.
Right.
It's the worst. And I know that, and there's days when I'm like, I'm just going to go for the full Monty here. Because I think, well, if I can sleep for 90 minutes, that's a whole sleep cycle, and then I'll wake up refreshed. I never do. It's always 62 minutes, and then I'm miserable the rest of the day.
Can you
I take
drop anywhere?
long ones.
What's that, Candace?
do?
I take long naps. With
Long
Gigi.
naps?
Yeah, I feel like when I set an alarm, that's when I have the issues because I feel like all through my dream process, I'm like, oh, that alarm's gonna go off. Oh, that alarm's gonna go off.
Oh. Well, I say to that, nope. But that's just me. Sorry, Tony, I cut you off. You said something.
Oh, no, I was wondering, do you, can you drop anywhere? Do you have your little spot?
Anywhere.
For a ritual
Anywhere.
nap?
Wow. See, I can't do that though. I'm jealous of you. See, now I'm finally jealous of you.
I'll tell you right now, I could finally. I've been trying. It's been a year. I've been doing all I could. I could put my head down on my hands on this desk right here and be out in any. Well, not right now, not at this moment, but when the show ends, 9:45ish, I could be sound asleep by 9:47ish.
Wow.
There goes up.
Thus, I'm ready for school.
Number 6, have faith. Number 6, have faith. Doesn't matter what you believe in. Studies show people who are religious or faithful describe themselves as very happy. I have faith that whatever's going on, music will make better.
What if you just have the song "Faith" by George Michael on a playlist? Is that
have faith
close enough?
Or what if you're Tim McGraw? Then you married the girl. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
See what
What's
I
her
did there?
face?
Faith. Faith Hill. Oh, what's her faith? That's for the lisping audience members.
Faith.
He's married to Faith. Limit TV and social media. Ideal amount, 30 minutes a day. That's one show and a quick skim of your favorite social media platforms. That ain't happening. Sorry, that's not happening.
Right.
I have way too much Twitter rage. I can't get it all out in less than 30 minutes.
On the weekends, though, like last weekend, I did not, I don't think I watched any TV until I got home and then crammed a couple of football games in, which was a horrible mistake. I won't do that this weekend. Was I on social media? You know what? Saturday morning, I checked the weather. Does that count?
Sure.
But otherwise, yeah, I wasn't on all weekend. So that's nice. It's nice to walk away from it. But day to day, yeah, you can't do that day to day.
Here's
and
something.
Exist.
No, you can't. This is 2023. It's almost 2024 for crying out loud. I came across something years ago, and I've thought about this a lot. I've shared this with my kids as they were, coming of age as teenagers and then in college kids. There's a guy named James Hollis. He's a disciple, if you will, a therapist in the Carl Jung, in the Jungian tradition of ways of looking at the life. And I got a book. It was given to me by a guy years ago called The Middle Passage. And it was all about being hitting, your 30s, 40s, the middle of your life, and the ennui that accompanies it as you're trying to figure out, well, what does all this mean? Who am I? Blah, blah, blah. And it said, this is great. When stumped by a life choice, I choose enlargement over happiness.
Oh, that's...
Check this out. The question is not, you don't ask, will this make me happy? But otherwise, will this choice enlarge me or diminish me?
My mind is going there. What do you mean enlarge me?
We're terrible at predicting what will make us happy. We just as people, that question gets bogged down in our narrow preferences for security and control. But the enlargement question elicits a deeper, more intuitive response. You just know whether leaving or remaining in a relationship or a job, even if it brings short-term comfort, would mean cheating yourself of growth. You know that. You might deny it, but we all know those things inherently. And relatedly, he said, don't worry about burning bridges. Irreversible decisions tend to be more satisfying because now there's only one direction to travel towards the choice you just made.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What I'm hearing is eat more.
Eat a lot more. Just if your gut says go for seconds, then go for thirds, by God.
Yeah, enlarge yourself.
Your experience more than you. It's more ethereal, if you will.
Are you just telling me to go
leap.
ski? Is that what you're telling me? Just go ski and have everyone else?
What's it? Black double diamond, double dogs? What do they call it? What's the hardest thing?
Yeah, I've got the book right here. I was just 2 days ago. They gave me this on the lift. Some guy, 70 years old, out there skiing. Just wrote a book called "Living the Dream." 55 years of skiing at Alta. That's it, right there.
Wow, 55 years.
Handed it to you on the lift?
Yeah.
Well, that's dangerous.
Pulled it out of his backpack. Right. Why?
You could have fallen off.
What do we...
Grabbing for the book.
Could have dropped the book. I did. What do you think? I lurched for it?
Yes.
He just handed it to me.
Hey, listen, man. Anything's better than talking to a stranger on those lifts. At least the guy had the courtesy to give you a book so you could flip through it. You didn't have to talk to him.
That was nice. That
was very nice. No, but you know what though? I want to go back. I think it's really true. As far as if you want to stick with a job, stick with a relationship, stick with anything, your gut knows. And we get conditioned to think about, well, what are the practical? And there are plenty of reasons to not go with your gut, like say, I need health insurance. I need to pay for
the kids.
A roof. I got kids, of course. Yeah. But don't kid yourself and think that you wouldn't be happier somewhere else or enlarged somewhere else. I think that was my takeaway. And I thought about it last year, honestly, with this very job. I went right back and thought about that quote because I was like, well, will I be happy in Minneapolis? And I was like, well, that's up to me wherever I am. Is it new? Is it a whole new thing that I have no idea what I'm getting into? And does that excite me? And will I add experiences and information? And I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's check it out.
Take the leap and see.
It was time to see. And now, 11 months in, it's been great, and I'll see you guys in the next life. I'm out.
Right on.
This is all my way of saying I'm gone.
Yeah. Oh, what a sweet way
not
to say
really,
it.
not really. I'm very happy here, but I like that. I like, and it was important to look. First time I explained that to my kids, they were like, "Huh," and I was like, "Happiness that's all about you and just how you process information and what decisions you make in the moment about your state of mind."
Yeah.
I said, but this is a bigger thing, and I still didn't get a Father of the Year award. Damn it!
Not even a cup.
Didn't even get not even a
Come on,
nomination. Not even a
Gosh.
nomination. The only
Darn
time
it.
I got nominated for Father of the Year, and I still have it, my son submitted a thing, and it was like, my dad's the coolest because we watch sports. That was the entire nomination. I was like, cool. All right.
That works. No, those are wise words, and I like to sit here and poo-poo that stuff. But those are good things. I think about the people now sitting out there in traffic. That guy cut me off, and my daughter was in the back seat one day, and I was the idiot. I don't road rage, but I like to shoot my mouth off. Just blow off a little steam. You're an idiot. And she was back there, and she had one of her school books open, and she looked up and she said, "Hey, if you yell at people, it means you're unhappy. It has nothing to do with them." Yeah, I just read that right here. What? It hit me like a fastball right in the back of the head.
Did, yeah.
I was just stupefied. The rest of I was like, yeah, well,
Boy.
Clean your room.
yeah. You
Yeah,
little brat.
man.
But yeah,
I should have never
it's
taught you to read, you snot-nosed punk.
right. Get out of my car. Dropped her off right there on the side of 169. Walk.
Lesson learned. That's good parenting. Hey, the 92KQRS kickback jackpot is at $14,000. Why don't you do yourself a favor? Meet up with Woody and Bud Light at Size Bar and Grill in Chaska during the first half of, wait for it, Saturday's Vikings game. Kickoff is at noon, and sign up for the kickback jackpot. If the first play of the second half is a kickoff return for a touchdown by either team, you could win $14,000. If not, we're going to roll the prize money over to the next game and add another $1,000 to the pot. Complete contest rules at 92KQRS.com. Size Bar and Grill in Chaska. Go get them.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, December the 13th. Hey, by the way, here at 92 KQRS, we're going to bring back A to Z, baby.
Yes.
We're preparing to air all of our songs, all of them, alphabetically, beginning with the letter A, no stopping until the letter Z. However long it takes. And it starts next week, the 92 KQRS Classic Rock A to Z. Holy smokes, that's a lot of music.
Yep.
That's
it's
a lot.
phenomenal.
Tradition.
So fun.
So much music, you guys are speechless.
Well, it's a lot of pressure, because, the songs have to be put together alphabetically, not a strong, thing for radio people.
No.
Spelling, grammar, that sort of thing.
Well, you saw how
Hopefully we have
slowly
AI.
I said the word alphabetically because I was I was making sure I had that right. I'm just going to share one tweet, complete non sequitur, but it made me laugh. Here's a tweet I just saw. Me getting into an Uber. Hey, how you doing? Me getting out of that Uber. Good luck with your custody battle. There's no way the courts won't be able to see what an amazing mother you are. Stay strong, Amber. That cracks me up because, man, I've had some Uber drivers that really went deep.
Right?
Which I would too. If I were driving around 8-10 hours a day, I'd be yapping. I'd be making stuff up, man. Well, I lost my left foot driving this car last week. This is, I can't take my shoe off because there's just the bottom end of a garden hoe right there in its place. But anyway, I'd just be rambling incessantly if I were an Uber driver. Why not?
Right.
Yeah, so
I
test
know.
their reactions.
That's exactly right.
They have that feature now. You can ask for a silent ride.
Is that true?
Yeah, you can actually put on, maybe it's Lyft, because I think Uber does as well.
Wow.
I forget which one, but yeah, you can request a silent ride
That's really funny.
or a quiet ride.
I had absolutely no idea. You're just basically saying no, hey, literally, man, just zip it, shut the hell up. But I
love
guess
that.
I guess there's drivers that also want quiet rides, and that's a good match.
Right, I think they probably do. I have not hit the button yet, but I've always hoped for it. And you'd think I'd be the first one to do that. Like, nope, quiet. And I'd actually show them when I get in. You notice I hit the quiet. All right, we're good. All right, I'll get in.
You know, one of the funniest moments, I've just never been more baffled. This is going back to the 90s. So in the late 80s in Atlanta, I worked at a great place called Fellini's Pizza. Everyone that worked there was in a local band, including the guy that owned the joint. And it was just a zoo. It was like it was for the Atlanta music scene. It was like the Cheers. It's where everybody congregated. Everyone hung out. Everybody was friends. It was great. It was an awesome time. And one of the guys I worked with named Eric, he was in a band called the Chowder Shouters, and his instrument was he sat in a chair with a pile of road signs. With like a stop sign, street avenue signs. And those signs are way bigger than you realize. And he would have a pile of them, and he would just smack them in off time with beer bottles. And every time a bottle would break, he would just pick up another one. They were very avant-garde. And they were hilarious and brilliant. They were called the Chowder Shouters. And Eric is a great guy, Eric. And then he ended up starting his own pizza place years later and was a screaming success. He was one of the funniest, craziest people I've ever known. And in like 1993 or 4, Rosemary and I, I don't even remember what the reason was, but there was one night where we were in downtown Atlanta staying in a hotel. Like our condo, for some reason we had to be in a hotel that night. And we walked out to go somewhere, and as you would do at the time, you'd say, hey, can you get me a taxi? And the guy goes, sure. And he signaled, and a taxi pulled in, and it was my friend Eric driving the cab. Now, none of us were 30 yet, so to see your 26-year-old buddy driving a taxi, it was just I was like, what is happening? He goes, I just figured I'd see if this is going to be something I'm good at. Right. And I was like,
was he?
Yeah, right on. No, terrible driver. Just scared to death.
Feel like you had to tip him? Was it awkward? Giving here, Eric. Here's a.
I just couldn't stop laughing. I was just so. It was just so classically him. But it was a good time.
Can't afford to pay you today, Eric. I'll get you in a couple of days. See you, buddy.
That would have been him. He would have been the guy. He would have never paid. But that's all neither here nor there. Whether or not you want to talk to your driver or not, it's do what you want to do. Zepp, I believe you said this segment we would discuss what would Ringo do, which,
yes.
I've got that bracelet, WWRD. I refer to it on a regular basis. He is my patron saint of all things life to be lived the proper way. Just ask yourself, what would Richard Starkey do? What would Ringo do?
Peace and love, baby.
Peace and love, baby. Or he would, if he's tired of saying peace and love, I often find myself, I'll close my eyes at night and I'll be in a meditative state and I'll just hear that little Liverpudlian voice, and he'll be saying things like, Thomas is a tank engine and he lives in a big station on the island of Sodor. He's a fussy little engine, too. He likes to make fun of Golden.
Peace and love.
I was so happy when young Connell Gorman discovered Thomas the Tank Engine, because first of all, I have no problem setting up a train track and playing with all our Thomas figures. I loved doing that with both kids. And George Carlin was the narrator for the Thomas the Tank Engine series when Connell came along. But then we went back, and in the 80s, the first ever version of that show for British television, Ringo was the narrator. And man, when I found those DVDs, I was like, oh yeah, let's go. There was one time, very special time, when the toy store down the street from us in Los Angeles, a personal appearance from Sir Topham Hatt himself came to the toy store. Wow. It was just some dude in a Sir Topham Hatt costume, of course. And my son, we went down. He was wearing his train engineer onesie, his Oshkosh Bagosh engineer suit, his little cap. He was so excited, like 3 years old. And we were waiting for Sir Topham Hatt. And we're standing next to a guy and his son, and the guy looks at me kind of funny, and I look at him kind of funny, and I'm like, oh, that's the dude from The Shield. It was that bald actor. What's his name? Remember The Shield?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
On FX, it was like the most, at the time, it was like this groundbreaking TV show. Michael Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis.
Yeah, who's just like the worst character, the biggest badass, whatever. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and then he goes, hey, you guys are in the Thomas too. Yeah, we really love it. He's just like a nice guy. And I was like, you're the dude in The Shield. You can't be here for Topham Hatt. That's just one of those things that happens in L.A., I guess. Oh man! By the way, the train set, the train set thing. We would just go for hours. I mean, my wife was so happy when she realized that I was happy to do that with the kids. She could go just leave the house and come back 4 hours later, and I'd still be like, let's get that last bridge set up. I need one more connector piece. Where's the connector pieces? Stressing out over. And then James, where's James the Red Engine? Where's James? Oh, man, I love those days. A lot of Thomas under the Christmas tree at the Gorman house for several years there.
Yeah, once you find something that they like, then you have to get every single piece.
As long as they're involved, as long as they're still happy, then we're happy. You know how that goes.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
That's right. Thomas the Tank Engine brought us all the peace and love we needed for years at Christmas. Christmas is a really wonderful time. However, things can go awry this time of year, and I think we'd be doing our listeners a great disservice if we didn't mention that your Christmas tree wants to kill you. Just remember that. Your Christmas tree, Candace, is trying to get you. 40 people a year in the U.S. die every year from Christmas tree fires.
Whoa.
40.
Dang. I gotta water that sucker.
1 in 3 are caused by electrical problems. 1 in 6 happen because the tree is placed too close to a heater. And yes, no matter what the reason is, to your point, Zep, keep that sucker watered at least as much as possible to give yourself the best chance of not having your tree kill you. Don't even mention the amount of bugs that can be in that tree, or the fungus, the fungi and mold that can grow in the tree that people are allergic to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we did a story about that earlier. Some lady was allergic to Christmas trees. There was some sort of fungus growing in her Christmas trees, and then there's an owl. And
that's right. You get
sorts of weird. The possum.
Between wildlife and I tell you what, man, if I saw an owl in a Christmas tree, my first reaction would be, oh my God, that's amazing. If I saw a possum in my Christmas tree, I would light the tree on fire.
Yeah.
Right. and it was a lady. It was a fake Christmas tree. Artificial Christmas tree lady found the possum.
With a possum, a living, breathing possum.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, their tree caught on fire. No, I was chasing a possum out of the house. I did that on purpose.
Their eyes look like lights, too, anyway. Those big red eyes.
Creepy little suckers.
They're very creepy, but, man, are they awesome. They eat ticks and bugs, and they're very good for the environment. Another issue around Christmas time, around this time of year, opening presents can get deadly. 6,000 people visit the ER every year after cutting, slicing, or stabbing their way into those. Mostly it's the plastic packages that are called clamshell that are so hard to open. And so you always go get your scissors, and then they're not sharp enough, and then you get a steak knife, and then you're racing to the hospital.
Yeah,
hate them.
Right? Yeah, cut away from you. Cut away.
Man.
Because you do that, and you're just putting all your, and then,
yeah.
That's why I always like to keep a samurai sword around. Why? And I understand it's a shoplifting deterrent, but is it really?
No.
I mean, you got people walking out with, whole Christmas hams shoved down their pants.
It all goes back to The Graduate, starring Dustin Hoffman.
Right.
Plastics.
One word.
The future is plastics.
Yeah.
Sledding. The National Safety Council says 33,000 injuries requiring ER visits every year from sleds. By the way, perfectly acceptable holiday injury. If you hurt yourself sledding, I'm not going to laugh. I'm not going to roll my eyes. I'm going to say, all right, that checks out.
I'm so excited. I want to go sledding so bad.
Okay.
You got to watch out for trees, fences, rocks. Yeah. Did you ever get on an old school actual toboggan, like a 5 or 6 seater, just a wooden shank?
Yeah, that you steer with like the ropes on the side.
Well, that's what they say. They say
feel pretty
steer with
helpless
the ropes.
back there.
Yeah.
Those things are awesome.
That's how I found out the body has a spleen, Daryl Bow. We used to, snow is fun to sled on. I didn't know. We're like, you lost a what? A spleen? What the you're making?
Sledding?
But he had this big purple scar, spleen. Your body has one right now. It's I don't think it does anything. I don't know. But you can lose it and live a perfectly normal life. Bow has. But we used to flood the backyards because snow is fun.
Sure.
But the bobsled ice, that's fast. And hit a tree. Lost a spleen.
We had a kid who was in a car accident, and he had a ruptured spleen, and so from that day forward we called him Martin Spleen.
Martin Spleen.
That's a stretch.
It was a stretch, but we liked it.
If you have mono, you're supposed to be careful of bursting your spleen. I had it, and then after you have mono, you have to be careful, and I went to camp, and I was on the banana boat with my friends, and I was so worried about my spleen the whole time.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
Are you suggesting there's a time when it's cool to burst your spleen as opposed to after mono?
No, it's like it's enlarged. Mono
Really?
enlarges the spleen.
And what's the banana boat?
The banana boat, Tony,
Yes.
is a boat or an inflatable device that looks like a banana, and you are on there with, the Richfield 7, and then you you get dragged along by a motorized something.
There's a famous photo of LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony all on a banana boat together. It's not doctored; it's a real picture. But so you can put 3 NBA stars or the Richfield 7 all fit on a banana boat.
I'll try to find a picture just to show.
And
ya.
so just to confirm, if you have mono, you are at a greater risk for your spleen exploding.
Yes.
Good to know.
And if your spleen explodes, you're at greater risk of getting mono. How's that? Because one of my medical egghead friends are listening, and they're like, a spleen does nothing. If you lose your spleen, zap, you have increased risk of becoming sick or getting serious infections. Thank you.
If someone kisses you on the spleen, you can get the kissing disease, mono.
All elephants are mammals, but not all mammals are elephants. Yeah, we get it, scientist guy. By the way, greatest sledding experience of my life on the golf course, where all the great sledding happened in my youth. On the golf course, there's always that one hole that's just a straight downhill mountain run. It was number 10 on our country club golf course. And one year we were out there, and some dude showed up with a car hood.
Oh, yeah.
And they had waxed it, and they turn it upside down. And you sit on the underside, and you pile 6 or 7 people onto a car hood, which weighs hundreds of pounds. And then it's just everybody below, look the hell out, because there is no control in that thing.
No,
my Uncle Don did that. He broke his jaw hitting a tree.
Did he really?
Oh, my God.
Fun.
See, it's cool.
Good times.
Sledding accidents, totally accepable.
Unacceptable?
Unacceptable, decoration, people getting hurt while putting up decorations. 5,000 Americans a year fall and hurt themselves decorating for Christmas.
Yeah, well, you got to start drinking after.
Yeah,
you get the lights up around the
Got to put up the
roof out
star on the top of the tree, and then you topple.
Oh, I used to hate to put those things up. I know, of course, I wanted to leave them up, but you can't leave them up. But yeah, I used to hate putting those up on the roof. I just always felt like this is it. I'm going head first.
Yeah.
Never happened,
I don't do the roof stuff. I mean, we do some front yard back in the day. This is more, I think, decorations. Like people just get, like you said, just getting that star on top of the tree or putting up lights around the banister. And then, next thing you know, like you said, a couple of hot toddies in and bang. My favorite holiday I think I told this story once before, but it bears repeating. As kids growing up in Maryland, we had neighbors that lived across the street from each other, the Knowles and the Webbers. And so this family, the Webbers, every year they put up these big lighted letters on the roof of their house, Noel, as in, Christmas. And it was a giant Noel strung with lights, and it was very nice. That was the Webbers did that every year. They literally lived right across the street from a family whose last name was Noel, Noel, but they pronounced it Knoll. And so one year, the Knowles went away for the holidays, and my brother Tom and his buddy Paul Tomasoni built and fully lit letters that spelled out Weber, and they put it on the Knowles house.
Oh, that's fun.
So the Weber's house says Noel, and directly across the street facing them, the Knowles house said Weber.
Nice.
That is good 70s hijinks right there.
Got to make it a little bigger and brighter.
Yeah,
too,
exactly. It was spectacular.
I love it.
Finally, the last thing, and this is the tough one, around the holidays, of all the things that can kill you, heart attacks. Now, that happens any day of the year, but there are a study has found more people die of heart attacks on Christmas than any other day of the year.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. That's tough, man.
Yeah, you made it. You got to Christmas. You got through the preseason, all the tough stuff. But I suppose that's, I guess. Then it builds up, doesn't it? All the eggnog and the food. We started back during November, and then the stress, and then kapowie, Christmas death.
Oof, man.
Yeah, who needs it?
Man, no kidding.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. The Cars. Oh, it's magic. That was the original working title. Oh, it's magic. And then the label was like, no, just call it Magic, dude. And then Rick Ocasek went, yeah, that makes more sense now that I think about it. It's a magical time of year, isn't it? Yeah. It's the Christmas time of year.
Yeah.
And fun fact and very important notification that I have to share with you, and that's this. If you get invited to a lot of holiday parties and you don't want to go to any of them or some of them, then don't. Very simply put, turning down a holiday party invitation is, in fact, very good for your mental and emotional health. We tend to overestimate how upset the host will be if we say nah. Now, don't say you're going to go and then blow it off. Say you can't make it. You don't even have to give an excuse. Everybody knows we're all busy this time of year. Anybody that doesn't understand your absence is kind of a jerk. So just if you don't want to go, by God, don't go.
Don't go. Don't
What if
do
it's
it.
your party? Can you just duck out?
I have ducked out of a party I've hosted more than once in my life.
Yeah,
I literally
I've done
have.
that too. Yeah, well, because we were going to have just a nice little incident, Marie and I, but many years ago, we were just going to have just a little kind of get together, and it just got carried away, and it just got gonzo, and at some point, I just said, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, we had there's two that come to mind. The first home I owned, I bought a condominium in 1992, a nice condo in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, right.
And we had some folks over. It wasn't a housewarming. We'd already had some people over, but the first time we had say 8 or 10 people over, maybe 12. It just got going, and it was getting late, and everybody had a good time as far as I can tell. And the next morning, as I sat up in bed, I was like, yeah, that was a good time. And I woke up, and Rosemary's just looking at me, and I go, what's the matter? And she was like, I don't get you sometimes. I go, what are you talking about? And she goes, you just left. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, do you remember the end of the night? And I go, not really. She goes, yeah, because after a while, everyone's like, where's Steve? You were in bed. You came in, took your clothes off, got in bed, and went to sleep. Everyone was still here. I had no recollection of that whatsoever.
Yeah, they had to come in and get their coats later. It was a little awkward.
Sure, a little 2-bedroom condo, and the other bedroom set up as a second den. So, yeah, all the coats I probably had thrown all the coats on the floor.
I read that Dean Martin used to, he would call the cops on his own parties.
Yeah, that's
He'd be the one calling in the complaint.
That is incredible. Never occurred to me.
I know someone that did that not far from we're all broadcasting right now in Dinkytown. They had a big party, and it just got out of hand. It was one of those when people were driving by, there's a party, as will happen in a college area, and they ended up calling the cops on their own party after trying to get people out of their house for a while. It wasn't working, so they busted themselves. It happens.
That is absolute. I can't believe I never thought of that one. There was another time later, a few years later, we had a little house in Midtown in Atlanta. Nice little bungalow, great screened-in front porch. We'll miss that porch for the rest of our days. And we had the former my rock and roll combo at the time, the Black Crowes. We played this festival called Midtown Atlanta, Midtown Music Festival, huge, and it was just like a couple blocks from our house. And so after the gig, we just walked home and we told everybody, "Hey, we'll have a big party after the gig tonight." So there was probably 30 people at the house that night. It was a big drink up, and at some point, my wife and I made the decision to, what do you call it? Shroom. So we were a little trippy. Everybody, we're all having a good night. And then at some point, we found ourselves back in our bathroom, just kind of de-escalated. We both kind of needed a little break. And we're back there and we're just talking. And we had a weird neighbor that we didn't know who was in the party. Like, she just walked in. And I was like, how do I get rid of her? This is weird. And then it turned into us going away to discuss. And of course, you lose track of time when you're shrooming. And then we had a friend, Karen Durkott. You guys met Karen at the Bagman show.
Oh, yeah.
She was in town.
Love Karen.
Yeah, great gal. She came into the bathroom and she's like, Zepp, you didn't get a chance to meet her. Great old broad. And she would appreciate me saying that. She's a New Yorker. She's like, yo, what the hell are you doing back here? And we're like, well, what? There's a crazy chick in the house. And she goes, no one's seen you in like an hour. And we were like, I thought it was 2 minutes. And then she goes, what, that chick in the T-shirt? And we were like, yeah. She goes, I'll get rid of her. She just walked right out. She goes, you, get to hit the bricks. You're not welcome. She kicked her right out. And like an hour later, we're like, oh my God, we could have never done that.
That's hilarious.
Drugs are fun. Don't let anyone tell you different.
And now, if you were to do some coke, then you'd be throwing everyone out. You'd be physically removing them.
Yeah, that's never my scene, man. I just enough to realize that's a bad idea. All I do is drink more. That's it. And then talk, and I'm just like every other jerk on coke. Oh, what a horrible thing. Hey, you know what's not horrible? The Scorpions. And I don't mean those little bastards that bite you out in the desert. I'm talking about the band from Hanover, Germany. The Scorpions return to Vegas with their brand new Love at First Sting Las Vegas residency. Special guest, Ugly Kid, I Hate Everything About You, Joe. This April 11th to May 3rd at the Backed Theater at Planet Hollywood. And we want to send you to opening night. One winner will score a trip for two, including round-trip air, a 2-night stay at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino, dinner for two before the show. Good Lord, the list goes on. 2 premium tickets to the concert, plus an autographed Scorpions poster. Text the national keyword Scorpions to 95819 right now to enter for a chance to win. Speaking of the Scorpions from Germany, playing with the band Ugly Kid Joe, here's a quick off-ramp for a moment, and it involves those two things. In 1992, my aforementioned previous rock and roll combo, the Black Crowes, played a gig in Germany. And after the show, the label BMG, which we always said stands for Big Mean Germans, they wanted to have a big after-show party. This was in Hamburg. And they set up a big room, and all the label people are there, and the promoters there, and a bunch of German radio folks from around the country are there. It's an industry party to celebrate the Black Crowes are in town. We're going to have a party for them. And we walk in, and we're the toast of the party. We're having a good night. And then a guy from the label says, some of your label mates are here, and we invited them over. Ugly Kid Joe is here for the party. and our singer went, no. And the guy goes, what do you mean? He goes, no, Ugly Kid Joe's not welcome at our party. And he goes, haha. And he goes, I'm not joking. I have nothing to do. We don't want them here. We don't know them. Their band sucks. Get them out of here. And he literally made the label. Then they were invited to the party, and then they were told, you're not welcome. And of course, it's a little weird moment. The rest of us are kind of like, well, dude, but then it's also funny. It's like, oh my God, imagine being them. So, it's a little weird, right? Well, like 8 months later, like the summer of '93, we're playing festivals in Europe. And we're at a festival like Rock am Ring in Germany. It's a giant festival. Def Leppard's on the bill, like the Chili Peppers, Robert Plant, Black Crowes, huge bill that goes on for 3 days. Mm-hmm. And we're backstage, and we have this tent that we at backstage festivals, all the bands have a trailer, like a mobile park trailer. That's your dressing room. And then we traveled with a huge tent, like an army bivouac giant tent that holds a ton of people, and we would extend that off of our trailer. So we were protected from the weather. So we have an outdoor area. You'd have fresh air, but it had a roof over your head. This huge tent. We had rugs and furniture, and we set it up like a whole lounge. So we had this. So all the bands would hang out in our area because we were ready to host. It was just an awesome way to travel through Europe that summer. And so we're at this festival, and our piano player Eddie and I are standing outside the tent. He's having a smoke. And this guy walks up and he goes, hey, excuse me, Ed, I just want to say hi. My name's Mike. Look, man, I play keys. I'm in Ugly Kid Joe. And I know you guys hate our band, and I totally get that, man. I get it. We're kind of a joke.
No,
but
don't get it.
And he goes, I just want to say, I love your playing, man. You're like my favorite rock and roll piano player. And I just had to say hi. And Eddie goes, oh, yeah, man, thank you, man. Hate your band? What are you talking about? That's crazy. Who you play with? And the guy goes, oh, I'm an Ugly Kid Joe. And there's a pause, and Ed goes, yeah, we hate you. Your band sucks. But hey, I appreciate the compliment, man. And he just towed the party line like that deadpan. And the guy's like, yeah, well, okay, well, thanks. And he walked off, and we just laughed for 10 minutes. I was like, Ed. And then Ed ran over to the guy later. He goes, man, I'm just kidding around. Brought him back into the tent, and he was like, man, thanks. He goes, man, go get the rest of your band. Just don't go near our singer, man. It'll be cool. It'll be cool. I literally haven't thought of that in forever. But that's Ugly Kid Joe in Germany. So there you have it.
That's great.
Did they write I Hate Everything About You after that run.
They probably did, yeah. And that was well deserved. Zep, you mentioned some weird Christmas gifts that are for sale this year, and I'm going to jump the gun because you actually sent me something earlier this morning.
Yeah, blows my mind.
I don't know if this was part of your weird Christmas list gift or not, but Yamaha, the sound company,
right,
is offering the CD C603. It's a 5-disc CD changer that is now available. Okay, that in itself is weird.
Yeah.
Like, who is still playing who needs a 5 CD changer for their home stereo? You can pick one up for the low price of $549.95.
Oh, nostalgia.
Pick it up. Swing by here. We were just getting ready to, take it down to the Salvation Army. Maria's got a 20 changer.
Yeah.
Like, should we sell this? I'm like, who's going to buy a 20 changer? It's in great condition. Well, but it's a CD player. Do you have a CD? I don't know. The kids have pilfered all mine over the years, and then probably, hawked them all. But
I don't remember the last time I played a compact disc. I mean, it's been years, and because we have a stereo that has gone unused forever, And I was late to the streamers. I just didn't care. Like, I finally got there. Like, I got Spotify, I got Amazon Music, I got Apple Music, I got all that crap. But like 10, 12 years ago when they were all hitting, I was like, whatever. I guess I was just already going to YouTube or something, but I haven't opened up a CD jewel box, pulled out the disc, looked at it to make sure, put it on the thing, watched it slide in and hit play in well over a decade.
I do sometimes in my car, but that's just in my car.
My car doesn't even have a CD player anymore.
Aren't you so cool?
I'm just saying.
My last one did have a CD player. I never ended up using it, but I'm on a Facebook Marketplace right now, and for less than $50, you can pick up all sorts of CD players. There's a nice Sony one. They're going to throw in the headphones. You get the disc player and the amp with it for $80. The whole setup. Here's a JVC 5-disc CD player with remote for $35. What did they want for that? $550.
$550.
Who's buying that?
I don't know. What were you saying?
Oh man, if someone bought you that, wouldn't you be pissed?
I would. Yeah,
and return it.
Just burn $400 next time.
Yeah. How about a Panasonic micro cassette voice recorder answering machine?
No, I'm good.
No?
Thanks.
Oh, I used to have one of those. Carry it around in your pocket, the little micro cassette.
Yeah.
Looked like you're important. Oh, I just had a thought.
Mission
capture
Impossible.
That's awesome.
Except now it starts smoking because it's so old and outdated. It's not self-destructing. It's just, there's lots of it out there. Don't pick that one up.
I can see Tony walking around with his little micro recorder and like sitting at a bar at night by himself. The funny thing about love is...
I would pull it out of bars sometimes. Aren't you cool? I remember this station many moons ago got one of the first recordable CD decks, and it cost $12,000.
No way. Are
to
you
burn
serious?
a CD, yeah. Everybody was burning all sorts of CDs they'd never use, right?
That is incredible. $12,000. Do you remember the first time? I remember the first time I got into a car that had a CD player. And it did not work well. It skipped constantly. You'd hit a bump and it would...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, man, CD player in a car? That makes no sense. How's that even possible?
Oh, I love it. I was out at a car show over in Prescott this summer, and there's an old car. I'll forget. Somebody's going to get a hold of us here on the Talk and Text line. We got a lot of cruisers out there. But it was a car made, I think, in the 1950s, and it had a turntable, a drop-down turntable.
Yeah, I saw
with
pictures
the needle,
of that.
the whole thing back in the day. So you wouldn't, obviously, it'd be skipping running down the road in that old suspension. Yeah. But when you got to where you were going, you'd throw her in park and drop down the dash, and there's your turntable grab for 45s only.
Holy smokes! Can you imagine all the makeout sessions? You'd be like, now that we're here, and then you've
got one song to get her done, which is all it would take. If you're in a team.
Oh no! Turn it over. Wrong side. We only have 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Hurry!
Yeah. And the car was magnificent, by the way. Whoever owns that, I mean, it was just mint and looked very cool. You wanted it. All right. Well,
of course, I love you. Hurry up! The song's about to end.
I can flip the record with my toes.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. And check this out. Here at 92 KQRS, we are bringing back A to Z, or as your British friends would say, Alpha to Z. We're preparing to air all of our songs alphabetically, beginning with the letter A. No stopping until the letter Z, however long it takes. And it starts next week. The 92 KQRS Classic Rock A to Z. Great Scott, that's going to be a lot of songs.
Yeah, I wonder how long that sucker lasts. I remember doing those in the past, and they never ended.
Just kept going.
What are they going to play for X?
Sure. Wow. Well, is that band name or song name? Xavier and Evans in the year 2525.
Yeah.
The band simply known as X. Don't know if
I guess numerically.
Probably don't play a lot of X on this station. Or XTC.
No,
All right.
not a lot.
Thanks. Way to go. You stumped the band, Tony.
Dear
Congratulations. Real quick, if you need to find a Christmas gift for a friend of yours who is struggling through life with an unsophisticated palate, as they say, maybe get them a bottle of hooch that tastes just like some Doritos. Yeah, Doritos flavored liquor is a real thing.
Yeah.
A company called Empirical has partnered with Doritos, and apparently it tastes exactly like nacho cheese Doritos, an alcoholic beverage. Pre-orders start today, $65 a bottle. They've partnered with PepsiCo, so that's an official Doritos liquor. 84 proof, so 42% alcohol. That's a little stronger than average 80 proof liquor, and it's an uncategorized spirit. So it's basically cheese-flavored vodka.
Yeah, I think some people go for that stuff. I don't. I have in the last 24 hours had Doritos with booze. A little Jameson and some
Wednesdays.
Doritos.
It's Wednesday.
Sure.
So you have your Tuesday night Doritos and hooch night. That's been going on for years.
That's what was handy. That's what was nearby. However, I don't like the, I know a lot of people that are into that stuff, chocolate cake vodka and infused liquors, but.
I just want to go into I would love to be in a bar and hear a guy sit down next to me and the bartender goes, "The usual?" And the guy goes, No, I'd like something in an uncategorized variety. You got any uncategorized spirits? How about some Dorito-flavored something or other? Yeah, let's have 2 of those.
I'm feeling nacho cheesy.
Oh, my God. A writer for Food and Wine magazine said it has a, quote, a bouquet that is, quote, brimming with the unmistakable tang of cheese dust.
It'd be good as a shot.
He said the aftertaste was a little bit more like Fritos, actually, all things considered.
What?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Fritos, that's foot smell there. I wonder if it turns your tongue orange.
It turns your liver orange, I can promise you that.
Right?
Holy smokes. Also this, as long as we're talking about totally bizarro things, a recent TikTok debate, which, of course, when you hear the words TikTok debate, I understand if you're reaching for the knob on your radio right now. Here's one. Apparently, someone posted a thing saying, I always face away from the shower head when I take a shower, and I just heard some people face the shower, and it turned into this whole thing where people are saying, that's so weird. Why would you face the shower head? I shower with my back to the water. This is a real thing. And who the hell faces the water? Facing the water is unhinged. Yes, getting waterboarded doesn't sound fun, so I turn my back to the shower head. I'm like, what? I'm sorry. I didn't know there was an option to just go one way. You're supposed to spin around and get everything wet, right?
Wait, you're supposed to wash the front of your body?
This is news to some of us, apparently.
Yeah, I do all sorts of things. I turn sideways, upside down, round and round.
Oh, if the water pressure's strong enough and the water's hot enough, I work through. I stretch in there. I literally touch my toes. Got to get the back loosened up for the day.
Well, you're
all that.
Contortionist.
I'm doing what I can. There was a time when I could, lift one foot and put it up over my head. But I mean, literally as a kid. But those days are long gone.
Yeah.
My daughter can still do all that. She's contortionist level, back bends and all that weird stuff. She does things that literally, if you just see the position she's in, you get back pain.
Limber.
Yeah, limber. So anyway, I'm just curious if anybody has ever showered without spinning around at least once in there. I don't get it.
It's really weird, man.
It's really weird, man.
That's
the problem with TikTok. You find out things like that there are people on the planet that live those kind of lives, and it's just not. It's just unsettling at best.
I love the good handheld anyway. So the face of what direction to face is irrelevant.
Oh, yeah, and you can get all the nooks and crannies.
Yeah, you got to have that. Right, exactly. Maybe have a little fun with it.
Yeah.
When we were in England, we had one of these weird ones you walk into, and it's, it just showers down from the ceiling. But it was in the middle of the shower.
Yeah.
So when it was time to wash your hair, you had to get into a corner of the shower.
Sure.
You had to pick a corner and kind of get over there. And that was awkward a little bit. And but somehow I survived it.
Yeah, those things sound great. They look like they're going to be awesome, but I don't get the water pressure I want. It's like it falls from the middle of the ceiling onto your head. I'm like, man, I got a shrub on top of my head. I need water pressure to get this shampoo out.
Right, I got to bust some stuff up, man. I got some grime on me.
I remember entirely true, hand on my heart, hand to God story. I remember the first time I ever took a shower. Because I was like 8 or 9. I was just a bath kid. We took baths.
Yeah, so did we. We didn't have a shower.
The Gormans were bathers, man. And and in fact, I went into my parents' master bedroom. My mom said, honey, go in there. And she said, just take a shower, like for whatever reason. I was like, I can take a shower? I knew what a shower was. I just never experienced it. And I was in there for, I don't know how long it was, but it was long enough to hear my mom's voice. That is enough. You're using all the hot water. Because I was just, oh my God. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced, which says a lot about the first 8 years of my life. Not much going on.
We didn't have one either. It was kind of a big deal. Mine, I think, was probably in the locker room, right? That was my first shower. So I could say publicly, my first shower was a public shower,
Yeah, I went straight from a big night for me was putting on socks and rubbing my feet against the carpet really hard so I could go shock people. Remember when you could rub and get that electric current flowing through your body and go up and touch someone and shock them. Yeah. So from right there to a shower, and suddenly like 1973 was the greatest year of my life.
Saturday night, man.
You know it. My grandpa Gorman was blind, and we would sneak up behind him and shock him.
Oh, you did not?
Yeah, all the time. And he would always laugh. And he always knew, and he would say, that's little Stevie. And I'd be like, how does he know? And he'd say, oh, there's Doug. And he always knew who was doing it. And, of course, we're giggling and laughing. We thought, I thought blind meant deaf, too, apparently, because I'd be like, he's a wizard. He knows exactly who we are. And we're just laughing loudly and being
he's just faking it his entire life.
That would be great, wouldn't it? You'd get away with everything there.
I'm blind.
You know what? We knew he wasn't faking it because my grandma, his wife, Gertrude, the matriarch of the family, when she would be annoyed at him, I never witnessed this, but my older siblings will put their hand on the Bible and swear. They watched several times when he would be grumpy and he would bitch about the soup is too cold or something, and then he would get up from the table to go back into the den, and that coffee table would have been moved 6 inches. And he would just his shin right into the table.
Oh man!
And Grandma Gorman. Oh, well, who moved that? And she'd go put it back in its right place.
Hell hath no fury.
Yeah, just sabotaging him.
Granny,
pretty strong. No one messed with Gertrude Gorman. She was like 5'10". She was the loveliest gal ever. And I was kind of scared of her just because she was so she just didn't mess around. She'd threaten us, not really. Her threat was, I'll take my shoe at you. If you get in trouble, I'm going to hit you with a shoe. And she never did, of course. She's grandma, but she's great.
I can't wait to be a grandma.
Really? There's a step you got to do first.
I wish I didn't have to. I wish I could just be a grandma.
Well, is Gigi too old to reproduce?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. A little past her time.
You can start just dressing the part.
I mean, today it's not far off.
Yeah, you look like Grandma Grunge today. You know what? That needs to be a character on the show, Grandma Grunge. You kids keep it down. Who do you think you are, Kurt Cobain? Grandma Grunge with another life lesson.
Yeah, if you lived through the grunge years, you're probably your grandma age now.
That's it. Wow. Grunge is old enough to have had
produced grandmothers.
To have grandmothers, yeah. Oh, that's a tough way to age, man. Still just holding on to that Alice in Chains demo. This was better than anything they ever put out on Columbia.
Flannel.
You know it. Oh, let's look back. How about a history lesson?
Did you know this?
Hey, did you know this?
Okay, this is interesting.
This is interesting. What is it?
Sports and
Music history.
On this day in 1997, Charles Woodson won the Heisman Trophy. That's significant for a few reasons. First of all, he was primarily a defensive player for the University of Michigan Wolverines. That rarely, if ever, happens for the Heisman. And far more interestingly, in hindsight, he beat Peyton Manning for the Heisman Trophy. Peyton Manning was 4 years as the Tennessee quarterback, just unstoppable in college. And he lost the Heisman. And to this day, I think about that every time I see those Nissan Heisman House commercials, which are really funny. If you've never seen them, if you're watching a college football game, they show this like an old grand manor, and all the Heisman Trophy winners live there. That's the shtick. Yeah. And they're all still friendly, competitive, and they're all involved. And every time, Charles Woodson is in a lot of those commercials. Yeah. And I know, Peyton Manning just mutes the sound when those come on. or he switches over to Nickelodeon for 30 seconds because he still can't believe he didn't win that Heisman Trophy.
The KQ Morning Show, 92